The 100 Season 2 finale, Blood Must Have Blood, Part 2. I had no real clue as to what we were going to get out of this episode. Aside from the City of Light stuff, I was like, I know we're not going to get the answers to that in Part 1, and of course we did, and that was all, like, Part 1 of the war. And in this episode, we got the conclusion, which was devastating in a lot of different ways, and it was really fun to watch. It was crazy to see what was going to happen because they had some really tough choices. Like, everyone pretty much, like, on both sides of the fence, it was like Clarke is at a standstill, Cage is at a standstill, and they both have to make really, really drastic moves and pretty much do, like, all or nothing, tactics. And unfortunately, like, it's hard to say unfortunately because, they're all the main characters, but Clarke made the decision to, you know, kill everyone off inside of the bunker, and sadly that did kill off Maya, which really sucked. I really liked the character, and obviously that's going to change Jasper in, future episodes. And I actually love what they did with his character at the very end, where this entire season we've seen him, inside the bunker, and he's kind of been stuck in there dealing with that. And as soon as he gets out, they have it where, as soon as he, like, kind of enters Camp Jaha, Raven gives him back, like, his old goggles, but he's not, that old character. Like, he's different in a multitude of ways. Like, he was kind of a leader at one point when they were inside the bunker. He, lost the woman that he loved. Not only was, like, his best friend involved in that, but obviously it couldn't have possibly happened without Monty. So their relationship is going to be very different as well. And him getting those goggles, I thought was actually really cool. It was like, it's, a simplistic way to say, like, he's back to who he was. But after seeing everything he's gone through this season, we know that he's not going to be the same guy he was in, like, the first couple episodes. And it was just interesting to see that, like, that was his thing in the beginning, where he had the goggles. And whether he wears them or not in Season 3, he's not going to be that character. He's going to be something completely different. And who knows how, that'll work with Clarke having, taken off at the end of this episode, which was also very surprising. And I love the fact that she used Dante's line where she has to bear, all the disasters and the mental stress and all that stuff, so no one else has to. And although she did that with Bellamy, she is the leader, so ultimately she does feel like, it's on her, and he decided, to do it for his sister. But it is on her as the leader, and she, made the choice to shoot Dante, which it sucked to see his character go. I did like him. I mean, up until the last episode, it was like, he was that great character, and unfortunately he did, kind of do that, and he, brought up a great point, like, if I did, kind of go through with this full plan, and I let all of your people go, I let all the grounders go, then what would happen to my people? Like, we would most likely just get attacked, kind of like how they were getting attacked in the last episode, except no one would stop to make a deal because everyone's already free. They would just attack them in full force. At least, the grounders would most likely, they'd most likely do that for sure. But, it was crazy to see all these characters just go. Like, the only person, oddly enough, the only character we didn't see die is Emerson. And what I thought they were going to do was actually have Kane and Emerson survive, and they would kind of be like sort of a duo that's just, like, out trying to survive in the world now, because they're both immune and Cage was out. And initially, instead of it being Lincoln, I was so sure that it was going to be Emerson, and they were going to go off, and I don't know how they'd survive, but they would kind of go off and be little stopgaps, in Season 3. Like, they'd be an issue that kind of came up here and there because they wouldn't have, obviously, nearly as much power or influence. But, them adapting to the ground and living on the ground. And because we didn't see Emerson, we might actually get to see that. And who knows, he could still technically save Cage. I mean, it looked like he flat out died. But, you never know. They could easily write it where Emerson, kind of came along, found Cage, bandaged him up really quick, and saved his life, and now Cage is going to kind of be like a Reaper where he has to get over that addiction or something. Like, they could do it that way. I'm pretty sure he died because it's a great way to have his character get killed off by Lincoln after having lost the war. He lost, the battle and the war. So he lost to Clarke, and she kind of got her, sort of pseudo-revenge on him, and obviously, everything else that happened. But having Lincoln be the one to kind of really take him out with all the different stuff that happened because of him being turned into a Reaper. I thought it was actually really cool that he was able to, be the one to take out Lincoln, or to take out Cage. And I thought it was a great scene too when he was like running out of the smoke in like slow motion and stuff. And it would have been even cooler if he just wasn't affected at all. But it did make sense that he'd be affected and then fight back from like the tone generator. But that was really cool. And like I said, Emerson kind of just not really being anywhere in this episode. Like, he left because obviously everyone got killed off, so there was no need to blow the door open. It was a bit too late for that. So he did take off, and we haven't seen him. They aren't just gonna write his character out. So I guess it makes a lot of sense. Like, I would have loved to see Cage and Emerson together, just because I feel like it would be an interesting dynamic to watch them both try to survive. But with Emerson, he is like, he was a military guy. Like, Cage was just, the politician, really. He was the president. But Emerson had, actual training. He was basically like the lieutenant and captain of all of the security. So him being able to survive makes a lot more sense, and he could actually be a very serious threat now that he does have, complete immunity to the radiation. He could go and take out grounders with guns and maybe silenced pistols and this and that, who knows. And we could see him sort of resurface as a threat, and he'd be by himself, so I don't know how that would really play out. He'd have to be like a freaking, ninja or something to really be a serious threat, since he's all by himself. But I'd love to see how that would play out, like an episode or two where it solely focuses on him mentally or something, where he's going from this really drastic change from living inside of Mount Weather his entire life to his last day there. Like, who knows what he saw when he was leaving out. Everyone's dead, like men and children, everyone is gone, like everyone died. And mentally he has to deal with that, being a sole survivor. So if they focus on that in the next season, I think it would definitely be pretty interesting, because I'm excited already for what they could do with this character as, a threat to both the Grounders and the people at Camp Jaha, because he has a ton of vengeance towards both, even if Clarke is the one who kind of dealt the final blow. It's obviously they've been at war with the Grounders for a long time as well. So I think they could definitely do a lot with his character, and I'm just really excited to see, because they didn't give him an official ending, so I feel like he has to come back at least a little bit in season 3. And just everything that happened with Clarke's decision I thought was pretty cool, because with her having made this decision, it kind of hit her real hard. And they have one of the greatest lines from Abby where she says, maybe there just aren't any good guys, or there aren't really any bad guys. It's just, we're people. It's like, we have to make the choices that we have to make. They're not good choices or bad choices. We just have to make them, because in Clarke's situation, she wanted to save her people, and in Kane's situation, he wanted the same. And obviously he was a bit greedy, because he wanted way more than that. But she just had to make that decision, and it's gonna weigh on you, but it's not a good decision or bad decision. It's just the decision you kind of had to make. So I thought that was great. It was nice to see that none of the people, the 100 or anyone from Camp Jaha actually got killed off. So that was nice, because I wasn't sure what was really going to happen. Like, it was unfortunate. I was pretty sure Maya was going to die, because it was like, I was almost 100% sure they'd end up pulling that lever. And I was hoping there would be some way to save her. Like, I didn't know what they could possibly do, but I was hoping that she could, maybe join them or something. But, that didn't happen. At least we didn't get to, didn't have to deal with her dying as well as somebody else. Like, we didn't see Jasper die, which he definitely would have died. Like, there's no way in the world he would have got to kill Cage. Anyway, he had like 3 people with machine guns pointed right at him. He wasn't about to kill Cage at all. But it was an interesting decision, and who knows what the heck's going to happen with Clarke now. I mean, she's off. She's obviously not going to go with the Grounders, because Lexa kind of just up and, screwed her, obviously. So she's not going to go to them. She's leaving the camp. So she's kind of going to be like, nomadic for some portion of season 3. And I don't know what to expect from it, but, just everything that they did in this. And I'm excited to see where the characters kind of go, and who takes over for Clarke, and kind of some of the stuff that happens with Octavia, because in this episode she had several moments where she does say like, I'm a grounder, or I'm not with, the Ark and stuff like that. So she's still with them, and obviously she'll probably stay with them because, Bellamy's there. But she's sort of in a nomadic state right now too, where it's like she doesn't really fit in with them. Lincoln made his decision when he decided to leave the camp for the last time, and Indra told him like, the commander won't take you back if you leave again. So obviously he's officially cast out. So, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned this before, they're both kind of just in this odd in-between state where, they both went back and forth between being grounders and being, sky people, and now they're just like in the middle. Lincoln, I'm sure, wouldn't mind being like counted as one of the sky people, but obviously Octavia doesn't really want to be a part of that anymore. So they're both kind of nomadic. And there was something that, and I don't know if I mentioned this before either, but there was something, I swear it had to be the first episode this season, that really wasn't touched upon, and I'm really excited for them to bring it back for season 3, because they hinted at it, and that was all we got the entire season. And it was like the monster thing or whatever that was near Octavia in the beginning of this season, and she saw someone who was like disfigured and stuff like that. And when Lincoln came back, it was like, oh, it must have just been a hallucination from the drugs. But it was a guy who was like completely disfigured and stuff, and he wasn't a Reaper. Obviously, he would have like completely just eaten her and killed her when she was, in a weak state. But he like walked up on her and stuff, and then he freaked out when she freaked out, and he took off. But we didn't see anything from that character, and I don't know if maybe they just cut that storyline. It was like they had it, and then it was just like, they don't want it. Or if they introduced it and then, things kind of really developed and ramped up with them combining the grounders and everyone from the Ark, and then them having a full-on war and all this stuff, that it was put on the back burner and it's at least been introduced, so we still have it, somewhere down the line. But I'm hoping that does come up really early on in season 3, because I was very excited to see where that was going to go, because it was just a disfigured person, so maybe that person had been cast out or something like that, depending on how the rules are for the grounders, and maybe even certain tribes have certain rules and stuff. But it was in the first episode, and there was kind of nothing after that, so I'm hoping they bring that back for season 3, and maybe it'll have something to do with Octavia and Lincoln. Maybe it could end up going to like a different character, and Octavia comes in for a little bit, like that actually happened, I wasn't imagining things. But I do hope that they bring it back, and it wasn't something where it was like, here's a cool idea, and then they kind of hated it after they wrote like, a big chunk of it, and it was just like, just toss it out, and they, let it go. So I hope that does come back in season 3. And then, of course, like, just the finale of this episode, and all of the City of Light stuff in this episode, I definitely loved, because there were some really cool moments. There was like a couple funny moments. There's like the ending, which was just like weird space stuff. At first I'm like, I don't know what the heck is happening when she was somebody. It felt like I've been waiting for ages. But fortunately, when she said she was like a computer, it was like, okay, it makes sense now. But we had some really crazy moments, and I love the fact that the episode started with them in the water, because it gave us like the title was just out in the open ocean, and I was hoping they do that because it was the season finale, just have something brand new and completely unexplored, and that's exactly what they did. But we saw Jaha basically kill someone off so that him and Murphy could survive. We saw them officially split up, and Murphy gets into the lighthouse, and it was really cool. That was like the funny moment where he's just like, sweet, and he's just like eating stuff and drinking whiskey and things like that. And everything seemed fine. He's just like in the lap of luxury. And when he gets to that video where the guy kills himself, that was the first really big question, like, okay, who is she? Is it, this AI hologram thing that we saw at the end of the episode? Was it that actual woman before she died and, uploaded a digital version of herself or whatever? She got like codes and stuff for missiles. Why does she need missiles? Like, are they gonna wipe out all the grounders? Is that the plan, to like basically redo everything, like redo the Great War or something like that? And the guy killed himself, and I have to assume this because he knew there's no way around this. She has the codes, and I screwed that up myself. It's my fault, and I can't stop it because it's an AI computer. She can, erase something or delete it physically, but she could keep it, digitally in her mind or whatever you want to consider it for a computer. And, I don't know what to think about it. It's like, he killed himself. Obviously we have to get answers for that in season 3. And then the stuff with Jaha at the end is like, he finds this giant mansion. He's like, curiouser and curiouser. And that made perfect sense. It was like, yeah, it's really weird. It's a giant empty mansion. It's like a ghost town. It's a giant mansion in the woods. Then he goes in, and there's this woman who is actually a hologram. And that's like beyond curious. Like, I don't know what to really make of that. And she got the missile that he landed in. And I have to assume that her plan is to basically rebuild the missile, like I said, and for whatever reason wipe out more people or try to redo the Great War or whatever happened, I don't know. But I'm incredibly excited for just how that's going to pan out, because there's going to have to be a really big, it's going to have to be a big chunk of time before anyone even remotely finds Jaha and Murphy, because they went through the desert, across like the open ocean, and they were, like miles into the ocean or wherever they were. They were miles in before they even saw the lighthouse, so no one's just going to randomly come across them that's a part of the main cast unless they start getting like airplanes and stuff. So I think the thing I'm most curious about is how are they going to, connect everyone from the cast back to Jaha and Murphy. Like, they've taken off. Everyone else is dead. People blew up. People got shot. The 2 guys that got eaten by like the giant crazy eel thing. And they're kind of just, somewhere. They're on like an island. It could be an island. It could be another state. I mean, they could have been on a lake instead of an ocean. Like, it's giant. You never really know. They don't really know anything about Earth. So, like, I don't know how they're going to connect all the characters back and, get the entire cast back together. But I'm incredibly excited to see where they go with this hologram stuff and, Jaha and Murphy's, kind of destinies and all that stuff. But I love this episode. Love the ending. Just a crazy ending. Like, it's not even one where I can really contemplate why stuff is happening or how it's happening. I mean, I get the solar power thing. I understand that. I didn't see solar panels on the house when they showed it. I could have just missed it because it was a giant mansion. I'm just like, there's a mansion in the woods. So I wasn't really looking for solar panels on the house. But, this ending, I don't really know what to make of it. Of course, I want to know what you guys think of it and just how crazy it is and how cool it is as well. And obviously, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. What do you guys think about this season as a whole? And definitely, what do you guys think about the ending? And what do you want to see from season 3 now that we've had like the ending of the war? We didn't really see anything from the Grounders in this episode except for the Indra Lincoln stuff. So they're gonna be out there. They're not exactly enemies anymore, with Camp Jaha, but what are they now? Like, they just up and left, and obviously everyone follows the commander, so what are they now? Like, are they neutral? Are they friends? Are they enemies? Are they just hated but still neutral? Stuff like that. What do you guys think? I know this is a long review, but season finale type stuff, you kind of have to go like the extra mile and make stuff ridiculously long. So thanks for watching. Like I said, please comment below. Let me know favorite parts, least favorite parts, and I definitely want to know what you guys expect for season 3, more than just what you want to see, but what do you really expect out of some of the craziness that kind of took place in this episode. So please, I haven't dropped my remote, so I gotta bend down now. There it is. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.